Hi, I'm Carolyn Kruger, and I'm the Program Coordinator for Kids Voting Durham. I'd like to talk to you today about how you can bring kids voting elections to your school or classroom. I'll tell you a little bit more about what kids voting provides, how you can get started, and how you can customize the election experience for your school or classroom setting. First, let me tell you about Kids Voting Durham. Kids Voting Durham is a nonprofit, nonpartisan program of the Durham County Cooperative Extension that helps youth under 18 believe in and understand the power they have as engaged citizens and informed voters. Kids Voting builds the knowledge, skills, and sense of agency youth need to take full part in our community's civic life and our country's democratic practices now and as adults. Each year, Kids Voting Durham allows pre-K through 12 students to vote on the same candidates and issues as adults. Kids Voting Durham offers all Durham schools and classrooms the opportunity to participate in kids voting elections free of cost. Better still, you can customize how, when, and where you will hold elections, so it's the right fit for you and your students. Let me talk about how you bring a kids voting election to your students. It's easy, and there's just 6 steps. First, sign up for elections. Contact Kids Voting Durham at 919-560-7321 or email us at info@kidsvotingdurham.org and let us know that you're interested in holding elections, what school or organization you're from, and how many students will be taking part. Then you make an election plan with our support. You can customize the election plan to fit your school needs and time frame, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. And then you prepare for elections. You can do as little or as much as you want to prepare your students to vote, from teaching about the offices to be elected and issues and candidates using the KVD election guide, to holding Get Out the Vote campaigns and other activities, again using tools that Kids Voting has developed, or we have an entire set of lesson plans that are by grade level and by subject matter on democracy, citizenship, and many other topics. And then you hold elections. You choose the day and time within the early voting period, which is usually about a month before elections or on election day, that works for you and your students. And Kids Voting will have all the election supplies delivered to you in plenty of time. And then all that's left to do is to share the results with your students. Kids Voting gets you the results the morning after elections. You can access them online, both your individual school results and the overall Kids Voting Durham results, as well as information about how adults voted. And the Kids Voting materials will include some after-election discussion questions and activities your class can do. So what does Kids Voting provide you to run your election? First of all, we provide you ballots. You have a choice of paper or online ballots, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment. You get I voted stickers, very important for each student that participates. We will give you a KVD election guide that's created by youth for youth, with information about the offices to be elected, the issues in this election, and of course about the candidates themselves, all in youth-friendly and relatable language. You will receive, if you choose, voting booths and ballot boxes that you can use to create an actual voting precinct atmosphere. You will get training for the individuals who will run your site. And we have KVD lessons and activities, as I mentioned before, on elections and voting that are leveled by grade. We also have customizable promotional materials that you can use to promote your election, including a bilingual parent letter that you can send home to get families engaged with what's going on. And we have other family engagement materials as well. So, making an election plan. There's just a few decisions that you need to make here. First of all, who will vote? It can be the whole school, it can be individual classes, or as you'll see in an example I'm about to share with you in a minute, it can even be individual students. Who will run the election? You need a point person to interact with Kids Voting Durham, but it can be anyone. Other schools have had teachers, older students, PTAs, administration, student organizations run elections. And then when will elections be held? You can choose what voting times and days work for you. not just on election day, but during the entire adult early voting period, usually about 2 to 3 weeks before the election. And then where will elections be held? It can be in the classroom, in a central location like a library accessible to the entire school, or even outside the class as homework where students can vote virtually. Other decision that you'll make is what ballot will you use? So regardless of whether you use an online ballot, a paper ballot, or a combination of both, all ballots give you access to the online results for your school and for kids voting the morning after elections. Both of them have similar looks and feels with the same candidates and issues on them, and they both come with an I voted sticker. For paper ballots, some people like to use these because they are what's used in current actual elections today. So they replicate the adult experience. All information, though, on most of our ballots must be bubbled correctly to register. These are Scantron ballots, just like the standardized tests that students take. Younger grades may sometimes need help with that. And you can't reproduce a Scantron ballot on site if you run out, but we're always happy to deliver you more. Online ballots require, of course, an internet access and device, which more of our schools have now since we've become a one-on-one district. Schools will be able to get a vote tally by grade as well as by school, which is appealing to some schools. And the online ballot may appeal more to older students and prepare them for the future of voting. The one downside is you can have technical difficulties. If you're in a school that has spotty internet connectivity or gets overloaded, that can be an issue for some. And again, though, you can choose online, you can choose paper, or you can choose a combination of both to use. Let me give you some examples of what other schools have done and ways that they've used the customization to set up their elections. So Pearson Town Elementary almost every year goes all out with their elections. The whole school votes. It's run by the PTA, who do all the setup of the voting site in the media center. You can see from these photos they do an amazing job of transforming the media center into a precinct. And then the fifth graders serve as poll workers. So they are trained to register the students, to check them in as they vote, to help them, the younger students, with some education and to guide them through the polling place. It's done in the media center and on election day. And it's a big event that the whole school looks forward to, and they vote on paper ballot. Immaculata Middle School does this every year, and they do it mainly with their 4th and 5th grade classes only. It's run by a 5th grade teacher there, and students vote in individual classrooms. When they vote depends on the teacher and that teacher's and classroom schedule, and students vote online on their laptops, information about how to vote and about the candidates is projected on screens by teachers, but each teacher decides what they're going to teach about that particular ballot. Riverside High School has taken a very unique approach to how they have held elections the last few years. So students who vote do so independently, just like we as adults do. They have to make time in their day, either before school or at lunchtime, to vote in the media center. Although in recent years, some classrooms have been allowed to sign up to vote as well because it's become popular. It's run by the media center coordinator, who's been there the last few years, and the media center is made into a voting site that offers both paper and online ballots. And then the School Activism Club does education about the voting opportunity and about what's on the ballot and about why it's important to vote, and goes around to each homeroom class and presents that in the weeks before election. So the options are really endless. During distance learning, entire schools voted virtually and used the Canvas modules that we provide for the KVD election guide and the ballot to assign voting to students. There's a Durham middle school in the past that has made a kids voting week during elections, and each student is assigned a candidate persona, and they actually present their platforms to the whole school to help educate them on how to vote. Other classrooms hold elections in a single period, where in the beginning of the period they give information about voting and about this election and then allow students to vote. However you choose to customize KVD elections for your class, though, Vote, have fun, and make your students feel proud of using their vote as their voice in this election. There's a lot more I could tell you, and if you have any questions or would like further information, I'd enjoy talking to you. You can reach me at CKREUGER@dconc.gov or at info@kidsvotingdurham.org. You can call me at 919-560-7321, or you can simply go to our website, kidsvotingdurham.org, or one of our social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest all have information on us as well. I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for the wonderful work you do with our students.